Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I take buses to Fort Langley, so.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but and then when
I
it's
remember.
you
if I
open,
leave
I'll show
about
you because there's
9:30,
like
I
some
don't
little
bring
safety
glasses.
things you gotta do.
Yeah,
So
no,
I have to leave before 9:30.
There won't
yeah.
be.
If it goes over, which I'm hoping it doesn't go over, just feel
Yeah, it's
free.
good. As long,
Do you have
I
a
usually
clock
start
with you or
around
something like
7:30,
that?
so
Okay,
that
just.
people who are on in the audience
Bow
know
out.
that
No
it's still
problem.
going.
But
It's still
I'll.
on.
It's supposed to end at 9,
Have
so
you dinner?
hopefully I can
Oh, I don't know why.
do that.
But don't rush on my part.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're my I have my new naturopath right here.
Yes, that's cool.
This is Burdock tea. She
course
just
it
asked me
is.
if I ate dinner.
Came from the swamps. It's tea from the swamps of Transylvania. It's gonna kill you.
Maybe the other one was. The other one maybe might need to sit. I feel like this.
Pardon?
Might need to sit for a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is way better.
You can't eat yours.
It's not a bit gross, but it's better.
You can always add honey to it.
Okay.
And then when you do this now,
Oh, you got it.
you're done.
Oh. Oh, thank you. I do like chocolate. Hello. Yeah, hi. Wow, that was, thank you. A big note for something. Yeah, welcome back, those of you who are the Wednesday night. It's a different kind of a crew than the Tuesday nights.
Have a team cheer.
Pardon?
Have a team cheer.
A team cheer? The Wednesday versus the Tuesday?
Are we the wild bunch?
We should play like,
Do all the time.
maybe we can play Red Rover with the Tuesdayers. Yeah. Yeah. This is just for decoration now, right?
Yeah.
So, how's everybody doing? It's a loaded question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Well, let's just all say our names so that we all get reacquainted. It's good to know, right? It's good to know who your fellow meditators are in the world. There's not a lot of people doing it. I'm John.
I'm Marge.
Marge, hi Marge.
Camille.
Jan.
Jan?
Jan.
Yeah.
Wesley.
Julia. Christine.
Christine.
Amanda.
All right. So, right. Yeah, we get the good fortune of, well, we're going to run a series of classes that are based on Doug Wienhoff's workshop that he taught over one weekend. That will hopefully inspire anybody who is not inspired yet to actually go into retreat with Doug Wienhoff when he does that, which is February the 1st or something.
29th
February 29th, I'm way off.
to March 9th.
To March, okay, so.
If you take the one.
Right, and so what my plan is we'll run this, and then for 5 weeks, and then it'll spill over into, I'll keep teaching meditation right up until that time, and I'm going to switch over to a text written by Jason Koppa, and then we'll be more of the same kind of fun, and we'll be just trying to use meditation to investigate our reality. So, if you come and then you do some meditating at home, by the time February 29th comes around, you should like experiencing life a little bit differently, I think, or at least have some kind of different idea about how it is that your mind is conjuring up the world and how you are in relation to the world. So this practice called the always forget what it's actually called all the time. It's the mindfulness, the four applications of mindfulness. This is like a very new term for me, the four applications of mindfulness. And you'll probably realize that you've been doing this in your life without even really knowing it. It's a way of using, in a sense, using what you're already thinking about all the time in a very constructive way, in a very, I don't know, you could say a very kind of closed lab kind of a way, where you're going to shut the world out for a second and really investigate what's happening for you, in a way. And this is supposed to be based on shamatha, right? It's supposed to be like, okay, you gain this meditative prowess, and then, because what we're going to be, the meditations we're going to be doing are supposed to be on a foundation of quite a still mind, like not level 9 shamatha, but quite a still mind. But it doesn't mean that you can't, and it doesn't mean that you won't have success if you're not like a hotshot meditator. It's not what it means. You can get great results by simply stopping for a second and checking out what you're feeling, and checking out what you think you're feeling, and checking out what you're feeling about what you're feeling, and checking out what you're feeling about the things you're seeing, and trying to get in between the process so that you can identify where it is that we are imputing meaning onto a situation or onto a person or onto ourselves that isn't actually there. And the reason why shamatha, or the reason why having a very still mind is very good for this kind of practice, this kind of investigating of what you're feeling, what your physical sensations are, how you relate to the world, how you relate to others. The reason why a still mind it's just easier. It's easier because if your mind is still, you can then look at what's coming up with a very clear mind and a very neutral mind. And you can, with absolute certainty, go, oh, that's what I'm doing. You can have a very clear understanding of, oh, it's really only my ego. It's really only my grasping at this situation. It's really only the fact that I believe that, if I don't get this job, all is lost. And you can see those kinds of things in a very, like a still pond of clarity, and just observe it and realize the truth of, I'm just attached to something. I'm just attached to something. And then gain freedom by just simply understanding the way that your mind is constantly turning. So how you can think of this is simply stopping long enough to actually notice what your mind is doing on a constant basis, that we just don't notice it. We just actually don't notice. Like, if you haven't meditated, then you don't know, you wouldn't know that there's a constant like sports commentator in your head that's like describing your experience, like almost like after the fact, right? It's like narrating your life, and it's actually a voice. It's actually a voice, you know. And when you get still, that voice gets very loud and like freaky and amazing. It's like, wow, like what? Why am I commentating? Why do I need a commentator? Right? And you'll notice that usually the commentator is painting is painting a picture, is painting a scene that you like, or painting a scene that you really don't like. Because, you know, we all like to feel a little freaked out once in a while. Right? We all have an investment in grief, right? Oh no. Because the thing that's beautiful about this kind of practice is everyone, you know, there are many paths, right? Like there's a lot of people in this room that they're calling themselves Buddhists, right? I'm a Buddhist. I practice Buddhism. I do what the Buddha said, right? And there are many people in the world that like, yeah, I do what Jesus said, right? Jesus said this. I'm doing it. And there's people all over the world that have all kinds of different paths, and until we actually have some kind of realization, until we actually internalize whatever it is we're trying to practice, it's just all dogma. It is all dogma. It's dogma until it's not dogma, right? So it's like, I want to achieve genuine happiness. And if we just take our chosen spiritual path and just ride the dogma thing, all it will end up being will just be the thing that you're doing. That's just the next thing that you're doing that might as well be television, right? Because there comes a point, and there comes a point in your spiritual career when a choice is made, where it's like, okay, I understand now. I understand now that the world is not working out for me, and it's not going to work out for me. Like trying to attain worldly status, trying to attain worldly things, right? I remember I used to have this thing where I would feel like I was progressing in life if I just kept getting a higher wage. Incrementally, right? I'd be like, I was in the union and I'd be at so many hours, and then you'd be, okay, well, he's worked this many hours and he gets another $2 an hour, right? And I think, yeah, you know, I'm making progress in this world. I'm getting $2 more an hour. And the thought of changing jobs and taking a lower wage to me was like, well, I can't do that. I mean, I'm just like, that's going backwards, right? That's going backwards. So in a situation like that, all our hopes for happiness, all our refuge is in some kind of updraft of what we think is important. And the kind of practice that we'll be doing, if it's done really well and done earnestly, it can be for anyone. It's like if you're a practicing Buddhist, or you're a practicing Christian, or whatever it is that you're practicing. And those are just the two that I know. I mean, I know there's a big list, but it's all like chatter. It's all words. It's all dogma. Until you realize what the teachers were trying to teach, right? Like the Buddha and Jesus taught all kinds of amazing things that people then over the centuries tried to figure out, right? What did he mean by this? What did he mean by that? Well, I think he meant this. I think he meant that. What did he mean by this? And there's really only one way to find out what they meant. You have to put into practice what they said to do. And it's you do it alone. You do it alone. Each person finds it in their own way. And then once you have a direct experience or a direct realization of some aspect of it, you could say, like, once you taste of the fruit of all your efforts, then you can then embrace all paths. You reach this place where you can rejoice and embrace in all paths. Because at some point along the way, all the clinging to yourself as a Buddhist or as a Christian actually becomes a hindrance. It's like you have to let it go. But because we live in a world, we live in a world where we need to be speaking to each other to communicate, and we need to conceptualize things in order to move forward. We need to talk like a Buddhist, or like a Christian, or like a mathematician. We need to be able to speak in a language that can take us to the edge of where no language will do. And there you have to go alone. To go to the edge, to go just right, to tip yourself over the little cliff, and drop into where no language will do, must be done alone. A book cannot take you there. Your teacher cannot take you there. You must go. And so what we're practicing is something that the Buddha taught. The 4 applications of mindfulness. And what it basically is, in a nutshell, what it is we're trying to replicate what he did in a sense of, they say, he was never satisfied with any of his results. He would just keep pushing, and he would achieve great states of meditation, right? And he would, hit great renunciation. Hit like, okay, I understand. Nothing's working here. I got to figure this out. This can't be the end. He would hit great high states of consciousness and like meditate and go into realms with the gods, where gods were hanging out in realms, and understand that this isn't good enough either. And he brought it down to a very, very simple, okay, we must investigate the nature of how we are experiencing ourself, how we are experiencing our world, how we are experiencing like our body, ourself, our world, and how it is that we're getting confused about it. How it is that we're actually our very own senses are betraying us. Because once we can pull off the layer of ignorance, you're right at the door of freedom at that point. And that takes actual a willingness to go where the words are guiding you to go and where the words have to stop. And that takes some perseverance. It takes some perseverance, and it takes this drive to sit down and meditate or lay down and meditate and find something that no one can describe to you that then becomes real for you in a way that no one can convince you otherwise, right? Yeah. So basically how you can think of it is you're going to learn how to meditate and use, the brilliant thing about this practice is you're just using what's there. You're just using what's there. You're not elaborating on some visualization. You're in fact trying to do the opposite of that. You're in fact trying to notice your visualization that you're doing all the time. You don't really notice it. That takes away from your actual natural experience and clouds it up. So Lord Buddha said this is the thing that got him his freedom, in a sense. It got him his freedom in that he figured it out. He realized where he was mistaken. He realized where even like the gods were mistaken. Because you can reach a very, very high state of meditation. You can reach a place like that. And you can go to realms like form realm, formless realm. And they're very beautiful places to go. You don't go anywhere. It's a very beautiful experience. And while you're there, you can be there for a long time. They say for thousands of years you can actually sort of be born there. I can say from personal experience that you can go to places like that and there is no concept of time while you were there. There is no concept of you having a mental affliction while you're there. There's no concept of anything that needs doing. There's no concept of a self that is like ruminating about anything. You're simply having an experience. And you can experience other beings there. And it can really seem like something to achieve. Because it's very alluring. But you always have to come back. And when you come back, guess what's there? You. You're there. All your mental afflictions are just there waiting for you. Like a bowl of Cheerios. They're just like waiting there for you to come and eat them. Right? They're just there. And you come back and you realize that, wow, I'm not done yet. And the mistake can be, and this is what the Buddha realized, is the mistake can be thinking that, oh, I have to figure out a way to permanently get there. Instead of dealing with your own mental afflictions right here and right now. Because then you go to a place that's better than that. The place that's better than that is right here. Right here. There is no other place. Is there? So, like, what's wrong with it? Hmm?
Us.
Us. We are wrong with it? If that's your experience, then it is, right? Yeah. If that's your experience, then that's what is wrong with it. You want to say something? You're on the edge of saying?
Yeah, but I just don't know how to say it. Getting to that place of being comfortable and not judging and not doing any of those things that we do constantly. Like you said, that commentator is there, and you know, you get to that place of maybe not enlightenment, but just through meditation. And like the Buddha said, it wasn't good enough with all the gods and everything, but to come back and just be with you, but be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
What is exactly right here, right now?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that made sense, but
So it sounds like you're saying being with like what's happening right now without resisting it, right? You're not resisting it. You're not judging it. You're just you're having that experience without the niggling, right? Got to be this. Got to be that. Got to be better. Got to accomplish. Got to. Right? That is an afflicted mind. There's an afflicted mind is just, you know, if you're doing anything, anytime, anywhere, and you think like, this is not quite right, that's an affliction. And it isn't quite right. It isn't. But it could be. It definitely could be. It could be awesome. So just a little, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at 4 applications of mindfulness. We're going to be looking at 4 areas, 4 domains of our reality. The body, our feelings, the domain of the mind, all our mental appearances, and the domain of all phenomena, which is basically saying how all the first 3 interact with all experience. So the whole thing, right? The whole thing, the whole experience. Nothing is left out. Nothing is left out of those 4 things. Because if we take an approach to our meditation and to our path from a very inside out type of approach, which basically means that you have this understanding that everything that I experience in my world, I am having a concept of it. There isn't anything in my experience that I am not conceptualizing, that is not, doesn't have something to do with my concept of it. And then so you take this approach instead of trying to, like a Western scientist or whatever, trying to figure out like what's happening from the outside in a sense, like what's happening in the world when no one's looking, or something like that, right? Maybe that could be like, maybe that's like a God type of view. I don't know. Maybe that's like some unstained, right, or some perfectly clear mind, unstained by any concept, actually perceiving something. What does it look like then? Right? Are we trying to find that out? Are we trying to find out like what exists truly without us looking at it? How is that going to help us? How is knowing the molecular structure of, you know, something across the earth going to help my suffering or not? Right? What we need to figure out is how we relate to our experience, because that's what our joy will be. The end of your suffering will be a subjective end of your suffering. There will be no end of your suffering that is not subjective. So we go for it in a subjective kind of a way. Right? How is it that I'm experiencing me and my reality? It's very interesting, right? Very, very interesting. Because if you change your mind, if you change the subjective state of your mind as to your experience, then your whole experience changes. And it may appear to you that people have changed. It may appear to you that, oh, things just got better. They've improved the city. Right? Where somebody is going to disagree with you on that. Right? No, they haven't. In fact, it's getting worse. It's just your subjective viewpoint. We're going to meditate very soon. So we're trying to find out, how do I distort reality by my idea of how things are supposed to be or how I want them to be, or how I think they are, versus simply the experience of it. And there are three questions that we ask ourselves in these types of meditations in relation to the four areas that we work with, right? The first question is this thing that I'm looking at, is this object of my attention, is it a permanent thing or is it an impermanent thing? Is this thing that I'm looking at, is it genuine happiness, or is it one more unsatisfying thing? The third one, the really cool and exciting one, is, does this experience consist of a self? Right? Or does it prove a self? Is a self required to explain it? Right? And the basic assumption here that Lord Buddha was laying down for everybody after he achieved what he achieved was that because we fail to ask these kinds of questions about our life and about us, then we have a misunderstanding about our reality, which leads to endless suffering. And the first domain which we're going to get into is the body, the domain of the body. And the really awesome thing about the body is, like when I say the body, what happens? You have this concept of, right? My body. My body. But in these terms, we think of the body as all physical, the whole world. All physical. Which is really beautiful in so many ways, because once you bridge the gap or elevate your understanding, elevate your consciousness as to reality, you stop relating to yourself as this body and start relating to this body as simply another part of your world. Just like your car. You can't say just like, but that, and because your whole world that you experience, your experience of it, your subjective experience of it, is entirely based on your senses anyway, then by extension you could say that the world is your body anyway. Because you can't know it the way that you know it without your body. Yeah, and you're going to lose it anyway. So you might as well get comfortable with that, right? You might as well get comfortable with the fact that it started, it will stop. And there's a part of you that is not going to stop. This is what we're shooting for, the part of us that is not going to stop. There has to be. There has to be a part of us that's not going to stop. It's a little weird, isn't it? It's like, or maybe we're getting in touch with that part of us that's on full stop. So still that you can experience movement. You can't really experience movement unless you're still. There's a part of you that is completely still and absolutely still. Like we have this idea, right? You know, I'm here, I'm in class, I have somewhere else I'm gonna go later, when's this gonna end? I gotta, you know, I'm gonna eat later. Right? I had yesterday, I have tomorrow, I'm gonna, right? But there is an aspect of us that we can tap into that is required to experience those kinds of things. It's like without a left, you can't have a right. Without an up, you can't have a down. Well, without still, you can't have move. There's a part of you that's completely still. Absolutely still. And maybe has never moved. Maybe has never moved. And that can be a realization. You can have a real concept of that. But you have to meditate.
Quick question.
Yes, Wesley, my man.
On the, I think it was the third question, does this experience require a self?
Yeah,
Or to explain it, right?
yeah,
So, I mean, the obvious answer to that question is embedded in what you said before it, which is, obviously, since the self has to be there to experience it.
yeah.
So I think it's asking a slightly different question.
Yes, it is asking a slightly different question. It is. Yeah, and we'll get there. It's like, it's asking a question like, does it require a self, or is it a self the way that I normally think of a self, right? Because the whole reason why we're here is because we want to elevate this whole idea of what I am, of a self. And you know, is that a changing thing, right? Is it impermanent or is it impermanent? Is this self that I think, is it impermanent or is it, you know, is it a changing thing? Is it happiness? Is it, but we all have, until we don't, a very distinct idea of a self, and a very distinct idea that certain things have a self, right? And that's what we're actually going for, to tell you the truth. That's the big prize, really, when you can nail that one, boom. Because if you can get to the, whoa, you know, things aren't, I don't exist the way that I have thought I have existed forever. I exist in a much, much different way, but I do exist. Then everything else falls like dominoes after that, because it's subjective. Your whole reality is subjective. So if you can like unlock the code of your own subjectivity, then everything else must fall. It must fall. So we're going to start by doing a full body scan type of meditation. And the idea here is that we're going to focus on just tangible, like tactile, physical sensations, right? Sensations that reveal our own body to us. Let's say, yeah, I have a body. And noticing if we're experiencing that in a way that is simply a conceptual overlay, And if we do discover that, then actually tossing that out and trying to actually get to the base experience. And we're going to use the out breath to toss out the concept, the conceptual overlay, if we can. Because it's a beautiful thing to notice the mental images that we have in our mind that we're slapping like painters onto everything, and making the mistake that it's the object that's painted already, and then we act accordingly. But with these kinds of meditations, you can actually catch yourself in the act, and that's the beauty of it. You can catch yourself in the act. Like I'll give a very small example. Yesterday I was at a dentist, and I was having a tooth pulled, and it was actually quite a pleasant experience. Oddly. This beautiful dentist and her assistant, taking care of me, right? And it became apparent to me quite soon that they were having trouble. Something was going wrong. And she said, yeah, you're just going to experience this popping sound like champagne. It'll all be over. And I'm like, all right, I didn't really want to know that. But I'm waiting for the pop. And meanwhile I did this, and I'm pulling, and all this, and they're cutting and slicing, and they're like, and then, there's half of it. We got half. I'm like, and then they're talking, and then I begin to understand. Okay, I hear them talking. Well, it's so rotten that it's just fallen apart, and it's much easier to pull it out in one hit. But not only has it fallen apart, but it's fused to the jaw. It's fused to the bone, right? And I'm like, all right. So this is all going on, but I'm having the experience of like, I wanted to like hold on to their, I don't know. I knew it wasn't possible. I just wanted to like put my arm around their legs or something. It was such a loving thing, and I was like, just in my praying, like, just give them the tooth. Right? They want the tooth. Give it to them. Let them have happiness. And but then she went out of the room, and she went out of the room, and she said, I gotta make a phone call. And she was out of the room, right? And then so here comes now I'm just like, okay. And then it starts. The movie begins. Oh, medevac. Okay, it's so bad it's out of her grasp. She's making a phone call. She's phoning her teacher. She's phoning someone who knows better. The freezing's going to wear off. I'm going to be laying here, and they're going to have to come in an ambulance, take me to St. Paul's Hospital, and someone's going to have to do something. And right? But I'm not like, I'm just enjoying the movie. I realize that this is what my mind is overlaying on the situation, and I have no bearing on whether that's true or not, right? And I found out later that she had to phone her daughter because it was taking so damn long to take the tooth out, right? It was she's way past schedule. So, she came in, and and they did more cutting, and there's a hook, and there's a buckle, and right? They finally got it out, and I said, what did I say? Well, it took you had to use all your skill in that one, eh? And she's like, yeah. She chuckled. Like, she totally knew what she was doing. But that was a good example, right, of what I could have bought into as being true. Yeah, she went out to make a phone call. She's in trouble. We're all in trouble. Right? But it was never that. It was never that. Right? She just had to pick her daughter up from somewhere, and she was going to be late. But anyway, so it's really a beautiful position to be in, to be able to begin to watch those kinds of things coming up in your mind, and telling the tale and then you believing them, right? About whoever and whatever. So we're going to see if we can bring light to dark spots, you could say. We all have, like, in our body, we have our obvious things that we experience, but there's large parts of our body that go unnoticed, right? One example of that for me is that when I first started doing yoga, like asana yoga, I think it was about 8 months in. 8 months of doing yoga every single day, and then I was walking down the street and I went, whoa! I have a spine. I was like, I never noticed. And I was like, but I could feel it. I could literally feel my spine and the nerves. I was like, wow! Wow, this is amazing. I was like, I never noticed I had a spine before. I've been walking around my life not even thinking about my spine. And it was a very, very tangible experience, right? And that was just, that took me a while to wake that back up, right? So what else, right? What else is there in our bodies that we don't pay attention to and we could be experiencing in a very tactile kind of a way? Okay, so let's all get into Shavasana position, relaxation, lying down on our backs. You can't cuddle. I mean, I'm not against it. In fact, I'm all for it. I wish we could all cuddle. But it would be anti-productive. So you want to make sure that you're nice and comfortable.
Can we use a pillow?
Oh yeah, anything that's going to help you be very relaxed. Yulia is kindly passing out blankets if anyone needs a blanket. Did the door get locked?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't lock it.
I didn't. You want to lock it? Yeah, may as well. We don't want anybody disturbing our sleep. It's, you know what, and it can be good to have a bolster under your knees. So if you suddenly decide right now you'd like a bolster under your knees, you can put your hand up and I'll bring one over, if anyone would like one. Yeah, bolster. One more? Okay. So you want to have your hands at your sides, typically with palms facing up, so that you are nice, you feel nice and open. And I'm going to ring the bell. Withdraw your attention from the sounds of the room into the domain of your body. So you take your focus now and you give your full attention to the physical sensations only. The sensation of touch. Focusing on that feeling of solidity and firmness where your body contacts the floor, or the bolster, or the pillow. So we're letting go now of any thought of what this is supposed to be, what might happen. We let go of the future, we let go of the past, and focus only on this one sense, the sense of touch. As you feel your body touch the floor or anything that your body is resting upon, and feel what that feels like. Now let your attention wander through the body. You can roam around through the body with your mind and noticing tactile sensations. Whenever they call you, it could be an itch, it could be a fluttering muscle, it could be some kind of sensation of heat or coolness or moisture. And you're really trying to look at it with bare attention, giving it the benefit of your clear focus. One way to think of that may be helpful is, what if you were an extremely good listener? And when your friend is talking, you were simply giving them your bare attention and not trying to think of your answer, or not trying to having an opinion of what they're saying as they're speaking. But you are absolutely giving them your whole bare attention. So in the same way, without elaboration, focus with that non-elaboration attention on the tactile experience. If you notice any tension or pain, let your breath be drawn to it and release the tension on the next exhalation. Focus with bare attention and notice if any conceptual overlay, any visual image of where these sensations are occurring, if that arises, simply discard it on the next out-breath. And don't worry. They can always be discarded, and they will always come. Now move your focus, your clear, your bare attention to the crown of your head, in a spotlight about the size of a quarter, and notice what sensations arise there. Can you feel things now? After you place your focus there, that you didn't experience before. Sensations that did not loudly present themselves. Now expand the spotlight of your awareness to the entire top of your head. And keep your attention focused only on the sensations within that sphere of light. Now move the spotlight of your awareness down to the right side of your head. And notice again. Whatever sensation, whatever tactile sensation arises there. And then move that light of awareness back around to the back of the head. Do the same thing. And then to the left side of your head. What sensations arise? Within that spotlight. And then move your awareness to your face. What sensations are there at the eyebrows or the eyelids? If you notice any tension, any pain, Let it go on the out breath. Notice sensations at the nose, the lips, the jaw. Now take this spotlight from your face and move it inside your head. Let your awareness illuminate sensations there, inside the head. What do you notice? Then move your awareness down to your neck. And then over to your left shoulder. Then gradually move the spotlight of your awareness down your left arm to your fingertips. Just noticing like a trail of light. What sensations are lit up as the light passes by? And then, like a spark jumping a gap from your left fingertips to your right fingertips, let your awareness jump to your right fingertips. And then gradually move your awareness up the right arm. To the right shoulder. Being very clear and aware. Discovering new sensations as the spotlight travels. Now move this light of awareness from your right shoulder across the upper chest to the left side. And down the left side to the middle of your chest. Then across over to the right side. Down the right side to the right abdomen. Across to the left side of the abdomen. Then down to the left hip. What new tactile sensations do you discover when you place your awareness in a new area? Then gradually move your awareness down your left leg to the left foot and toes. And then from your left toes, let your awareness jump like a spark across the gap to the right toes. Gradually now moving your awareness up the right toes to the right hip. Discovering along the way new sensations. Now, having systematically scanned your entire body, move your awareness to the crown of your head. And then for the next half minute or so, do another little scan, moving quicker through your entire body. Noticing if the sensations you discovered are still there. Now let the spotlight of your awareness illuminate your entire body at once. And notice again whatever sensation announces itself or announces themselves. Toss out any conceptual overlay and focus only on the felt. Can you allow yourself to just be in that state where in the felt there is only the felt? Allow your awareness to expand back into the room, coming to surface, wiggling your fingers and toes, and make a gradual surfacing. Stretch your legs and arms overhead and just bring yourself comfortably back. And then take your time coming back to your seat. Cool, huh? Cool meditation, right? It's a surprising meditation, isn't it? To experience your body in that way. The Buddha said something, there's a quote that the Lord Buddha said in the Parayana Sutta. I will teach the destination and the path leading to the destination. Listen to what I say. What is a destination? The eradication of craving, the eradication of hostility, and the eradication of delusion are what is called the destination. And what is the path leading to the destination? Mindfulness directed toward the body. This is what is called the path leading to the destination. So it's no small thing to start here. It's no small thing to start at the thing that we relate to and cling to the most, probably in our life, the thing that we hold to as being a major part of what we are, and that we make many assumptions about, right? Any comments on that meditation? About, did anyone want to say anything about noticing like a mental image or a conceptual overlay that they could toss out on an exhale, or they could toss out? Yeah? Do you want to say anything about that, Yulia?
No, it's just the emotional value that you put on that sensation.
But you feel it, right?
Yeah.
You recognize it.
Yeah. In my case, this is a problem. This is a problem. This is a bigger problem. Oh, we've got a problem here. We've got a problem here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyone else want to say anything? Because what Yulia was pointing out is, and we'll dive into this in the later classes, but investigating those kinds of things, we'll go deeper into different areas, but asking ourselves those questions. Is this permanent or is this impermanent? Right? Is this happiness or is this just more dissatisfaction? Does this require a self to experience? Is this a self? Does this require a self? And what it can do is just blow apart your whole the whole basis of how we grasp to reality in a certain way, right? Because if we can realize impermanence, for instance, like we're just about going to end the class pretty soon because I'm not going to go too much into it, but one of the main concepts that Lord Buddha taught was impermanence, was what comes with the package is its end, right? What comes with it, with the arrival of something, inherent in that arrival is its end. If it arrived, it must go. And if you do these kinds of meditations and contemplate those kinds of things, is it permanent or is it impermanent? What are you going to find that's permanent? Right? What are you going to find that's permanent that we kind of have this thing in the back of our mind, like wishing it was permanent, but knowing darn well it's not. But you have to bring it into your forefront. Right? We do, in Tibetan Buddhist teachings, we do like death awareness meditation for one thing. And it's like you're supposed to go over and over and over again in your mind all the ways that we deny that we're dying and that we don't know when it's going to happen. And what's going to help us when it does happen. and it's supposed to get us motivated to do a spiritual path. It's supposed to get us motivated into like doing something that will help us at the moment that we die, that we lose our body. But generally speaking, most of us are wandering around very, very, with very, very strong tendencies to grasp onto things and us and our attainments. All those guitar chords I learned, they're impermanent. One time I had a guitar chord just get sucked out of my mind like a tooth. Right in the middle of a performance. It just wasn't there anymore. It was just gone. Yeah. And I was attached to it, you know, because it was a great song. One of my best songs I ever wrote. It was this great chord, and I just couldn't play it anymore. And it was gone for a year. And I couldn't get it back. I scrounged around with old recordings, and I tried to find it. I approached it in all kinds of ways. My fingers were shaped kind of, but that's not right. And about a year later, I was playing. I tried it again, and it just came back. And come on, what's up with that? Right? And what if we had a direct experience of the impermanence of things? What if we had a direct experience of like the fact that I met this person is the same fact that I will lose this person, right? Inherent in the meeting is the leaving, one way or the other, and does it take an outside force? Does someone have to come along and steal them from me? No, you see it all the time. It just can end. It can end in a minute. You can think, right? You can think that everything's just humming along and tickety-boo, and all of a sudden you come home from work one day and the house is empty. I know of someone who's had this experience. There's a note. Or you're eating supper and you get into an argument. And then either it's forever different, or it's just, if we can realize the impermanence of things, then we won't freak out when we lose everything, because we're going to lose everything one thing at a time, because we're going to die. Ultimately we'll lose everything. But along the way, we'll lose stuff. But in the end, we'll lose all our friends and everything. The whole thing's gonna go, right? And so, if nothing else, they say that if you at the moment of your passing, the frame of mind that you're in dictates where you're going next. And if you're thinking beyond this lifetime, and you spend your life realizing that it's not helping me to grasp to things for my happiness, then at the moment of your death, you go like a breeze. You're like, yeah, well, what did I think? I was gonna get to keep it, right? Like, so when a relationship ends, can we not then rejoice in the experience that we had and call it a beautiful thing, and okay, here comes the next thing, instead of going, ah! Right? It's over. My life is over. I'm ruined. It's the end. Right? It means so many things about me that are not good. Right? When it was never going to last. It was never going to last. And this is extreme, because of course it can last until you die. It can be beautiful, but they're saying that even you will lose it one way or the other. Someone will go first, right? Someone will die first. But I remember, like, and you can get to these places. This is one of the great reasons to go to like the retreat is you have time. Right? I remember I was about 3/4 of the way through one of my lay rooms. It's a 30-day retreat. You're alone, right? You're alone. There's no email, no telephone, and nobody. You're alone with your mind. Right? What's scarier, right? Depending, maybe it's a dream. But I remember I was meditating, and all of a sudden, I had this experience of like, I could die, like, now. I just sat there. I just sat there in this beautiful, unbelievably profound and powerful experience of like right now. There's no law in the universe that is preventing me from falling over dead right this very second, and it could happen. And I sat there like that. Or now. Or now. Or now. Or now. Or now. And it was awesome. And if then when those kinds of things happen, then you have a deep experience of impermanence, and then you just let go. You enjoy, and you enjoy things for what they are, and let them go. And maybe that's a 20-year relationship. Maybe that's a 2-day relationship. Maybe that's a new car. Maybe that's, whatever it is. But a series of simple meditations can show you and illuminate to you all the things in your life that we have a default response to think that this is the way. This is what's giving me my happiness now. Like a compliment from somebody, That's what freedom is. Freedom is the end of all that. When you're like, you have an understanding. That's all. Freedom is just an understanding, really, but a very deep one that no one can tell you that you must arrive to on your own. And it's like, my world is subjective. My joy is a subjective experience. How I experience my own body is how I experience my own body. Well, then I guess it's the same for everybody else then. I guess I don't really have any control over how anybody else sees my body. It's subjective too. So I shouldn't get bummed out if I put on all the makeup. I don't meet somebody. Or I shouldn't get upset if I'm doing all the right things that I think I should be doing in order to be, to be seen in a certain way in society, and it's not working out that way. I don't appear to be seen the way that I want to be seen. And then that causing, me distress or something. Because you don't have any control over that. You don't. How does it feel to think that things are constantly coming into existence and going out of existence?
Feels good. Yeah.
Some people find it depressing. It really depends on what your You know, if you're putting all your eggs in the samsara basket, right? If you're putting all your eggs in like the world, in that basket, then it's probably very depressing. Because you're like, wow, all these things that I'm putting my time into aren't going to work out for me. Does that mean that it's futile to try and accomplish things? Right? Does that mean that some person could think, well, that's depressing, I guess there's no point in getting out of bed. Or you could go the other way and think, wow, that's awesome, right? That's awesome. I can truly experience my life without needing it to be some kind of unchanging, lasting thing that's going to give me something. I can just experience it for what it is. Because you don't know. Like, can you go to work, right? Can you get up in the morning and go to work and just enjoy the day without thinking that it has to be an end to a means? Or a means to an end, right? A means, like, can it simply be an experience? And that not meaning that there is no consequence to anything. Of course, it could bring you money, or it could bring you this or that, but it might not. And can you be okay with that? Can you be okay with the experience is enough? The experience of it is its own reward. Like, is there something wrong with this moment right now? Like, is it possible that we could all sit together without a backstory? That's between us and everything, each person that we see. Is it possible that we could be together in a way that where we were connected in the part of us that is completely still? If you could still your mind enough times in a row in meditation on a daily basis, could you then walk into work and then experience the kind of the flow of reality as your mind, as the stillness of your mind moves through and then connects ding 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 with each and every individual being that you look at, and actually touch into that very deep and still place that is them, that is the place, that is their galaxy. You can really only do those kinds of things if you do these kinds of meditations and piece by piece defrag your system, right? Like, take away the stuff that's between you and everything, right? And moving so fast, we can't even see it. We're moving so fast, you know? Good person, bad person, poor person, rich person. What can I get from them? I hope they don't come near me again, right? And just a constant stream that we don't even know. We don't even notice it. We don't even notice it. But you can gain through these kinds of meditations by simply watching and going, and like Yulia saying, wow, yeah, they're having this emotional response, and watch it come and go, watch it arise and go, and then experience this. Oh, but it's not necessarily related to this body part. It's something else, and then that's the crowbar that goes in, wedges in between your understanding. It goes, it starts to work its way, and then because your body is the world, then you walk through, and then you can see the people at your job in the same way. Oh, right? It's a changing thing. It's not this thing that I'm, good, bad, emotional response is not about this person I'm with. And you've gained that by investigating your own self. And that's how it goes. Piece by piece, day by day, day by day, day by day, until the filter drops. Because it has to. Because the filter, or the conceptual overlay, it is the impermanent thing. It is the ever-changing impermanent thing that can only be arising from something that's behind all that, making it possible. It's like the real you. That's enough for tonight, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, I used to find it a very overwhelming thought that I needed to have the capacity to love everyone in the world.
Yeah.
Like, I agree with it, and that I should love everyone equally, or to have that sort of belief.
Yeah.
But if I shrink that down to only loving the people around me at the moment,
Mhm.
then it becomes much less overwhelming.
Sure.
And I can kind of apply that here, or with my family, or on the Sky Tree.
Yeah.
So it's a less stressful thought that I just need to worry about the people around me at the moment. So I
Yeah.
don't know if that's kind of like, I think it's kind of like on the track of mindfulness.
It is. It is, because who else is there?
Right.
Right? I mean, sure, Tibetan Buddhists, they do this thing, it's, all beings, That's hard, right? That's like, well, I'll tell you what that is. All beings, all beings. That is trying to plant the seed in your mind to be like that. That's all that. That's like imagining what it would be like to be a totally enlightened Buddha, right? And just like anything, like it's a creation stage in a way. It's just like anything where before you could ever achieve some kind of project or complete a project, in your mind it happens first, right? Like, okay, I'm gonna make an album. On the album will be these songs. I'll do this and this and this and this. It all happens in your mind before, and then you go through the thing, and then it appears in the world. It's the same, all beings, all beings, all beings, and then one day it will appear in the world. You will be like that. But in the meantime, yeah, who's ever in front of you? Who is ever in front of you is absolutely your world, your realm of practice. Yeah. Your enlightenment will come from others. Your own personal Buddhahood. Who's the Buddha in the hood? Right? You will see it through others. You will see it through others. Because you will experience the cessation of negative arisings about the people around you, until the point where you can really only have a positive arising. And then your your Buddhahood will be reflected. You will see the reflection of your own Buddhahood in your world. It's a subjective Buddha in the hood. It's subjective, right? So it's a beautiful thing to have that practice of on the bus or whatever, trying to figure out some way to connect to any, because that then builds that association where suddenly you're walking around with a whole bunch of unbelievably beautiful people, like blow your mind all the time. Well, where do you think that's coming from? You know, that's not them. You know, how many times have someone come up to you and just whine for half an hour about how much they suck about everything? And you're looking at them going, I don't think that you're the same person that I know. I don't think that you're experiencing the person that I experience when I experience you. Right? Most of the time, I think, it's easier for us to see the positive things in other people than it is even in ourselves. You know, and then when someone comes to you and says, yeah, I got this problem, I got that problem, and this and that, you're just kind of like, wow, you just look like you got all your stuff together to me. Everything's happening. And we're like, no, I have all this stuff, and I'm not happy. Wow. You look happy. Right? So yeah, it's subjective. We should stop though. It's 9:12. Yeah. So thank you all for coming. And we'll continue on with our. We'll go to another level of that same thing next week. Yes. You're welcome. Yes, you.
Okay. So I'll try and visualize it.
Great sweater, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, Ukrainian.
It's cool.
Very warm.